Neville Goddard. Third book, Freedom for All, 1942. Freedom for All, a practical application of the Bible. Preface. Public opinion will not long endure a theory which does not work in practice. Today, probably more than ever, man demands proof of the truth of even his highest ideal. For ultimate satisfaction, man must find a principle which is for him a way of life, a principle which he can experience as true. I believe I have discovered just such a principle in the greatest of all sacred writings, the Bible. Drawn from my own mystical illumination, this book reveals the truth buried within the stories of the Old and New Testaments alike. Briefly, the book states that consciousness is the one and only reality. That consciousness is the cause and manifestation is the effect. Consciousness is the cause and manifestation is the effect. It draws the reader's attention to this fact constantly, that the reader may always keep first things first. Having laid the foundation that a change of consciousness is essential to bring about any change of expression, this book explains to the reader a dozen different ways to bring about such a change of consciousness. This is a realistic and constructive principle that works. The revelation it contains, if applied, will set you free. Chapter 1, the oneness of God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. That one Lord, all that is, I am God, right there. Your manifestation, your self-concept, right there. Mine, yours, everyone's. Hear, O Israel, hear, O man made, hear, O Israel, hear, O man made of the very substance of God. You and God are one and undivided. Man, the world and all within it are unconditioned states. Let me repeat that. Man, the world and all within it are conditioned states of the unconditioned one, God. Conditioned states of the unconditioned one, God. These are all conditioned states. In my Father's house are many mansions. The conditioned states are us. We travel through these states basically at our demand, at our conviction. We change states when we want to. The conditioned states they come from the unconditioned one. Man, the world, and all within it are conditioned states of the unconditioned one God. Conditioned states of the unconditioned one God. You are this one. You are God conditioned as man. There's God. I am all that is. You are God conditioned as man in your present self-concept, in your present expression as man. All that you believe God to be, you are. But you will never know this to be true until you stop claiming it of another and recognize this seeming other to be yourself. God and man, spirit and matter, the formless and the formed, the creator and the creation, the cause and the effect. Your Father and you are one. This one in whom all conditioned states live and move and have their being is your I am. Your unconditioned consciousness. Unconditioned consciousness is God, the one and only reality. By unconditioned consciousness is meant a sense of awareness, a sense of knowing that I am apart from knowing who I am. The consciousness of being, divorced from that which I am conscious of being, I am aware of being man. But I need not be man to be aware of being. I am aware of being. I am aware of being man. I do not need to be aware of being man to be aware of I am. Before I became aware of being someone, unconditioned awareness, was aware of being, and this awareness does not depend upon being someone. Remember, when you first wake up, that's where you are aware of being. Unconditioned consciousness is first, right when you wake up. You're traveling from that deep dream reality to this reality. You could say traveling back, I don't know, whatever. You're going from there to here. While you're there, you're in unconditioned awareness, unconditioned consciousness. You are with I am. But right when you wake up and you start to bring that focus into this self-concept, you can sense, if you're very careful and perceptive, you can sense first I am blank, because you're about to load in this self-concept. And right when you're right in that moment, you're coming out of sleep and you bring this conscious awareness of being, this unconscious awareness of being, then you load in the self-concept almost immediately. It happens very quick. That's when you load in what self-concept you are in that waking reality you're awaking into. I am self-existent, unconditioned consciousness. I became aware of being someone. And I shall become aware of being someone other than this that I am now aware of being. But I am eternally aware of being, whether I am unconditioned formlessness or I am conditioned form. Conditioned form being your reality. As the conditioned state, I, man, your manifestation, as the conditioned state, I might forget who I am or where I am, but I cannot forget that I am. This knowing that I am, this awareness of being, is the only reality. This unconditioned consciousness, the I am, is that knowing reality in whom all conditioned states, conceptions of myself, begin and end. But whichever remains the unknown knowing being when all the known ceases to be. Very, very heavy sentence. Let's go over it again. This unconditioned consciousness, the I am, is that knowing reality in whom all conditioned states, conceptions of myself, begin and end. This unconditioned consciousness, the I am, is that knowing reality in whom all conditioned states, conceptions of myself, begin and end, but whichever remains the unknown knowing being when all the known ceases to be. When all the known ceases to be. These go away, there is still I am. All that I have ever believed myself to be, all that I now believe myself to be, and that I shall ever believe myself to be are but attempts to know myself. The unknown, undefined reality. The unknown, undefined reality. All these are attempts to know thyself. Here it says to know myself. I was kind of partially quoting another one that says know thyself. I forget where that quote comes from, but it's a very important concept. Know thyself first. This unknown knowing one or unconditioned consciousness is my true being, the one and only reality. I am the unconditioned reality, conditioned as that which I believe myself to be. I am the believer limited by my beliefs, the knower defined by the known. That's a heck of a sentence, that one sentence. I am the believer limited by my beliefs. There's the believer, and you have beliefs in your self-concept. So you're limiting the believer. The believer is only limited by your beliefs. I am the believer limited by my beliefs, the knower defined by the known, the knower defined by what you call what you know, the known. The world is my conditioned consciousness objectified. Remember, subjective is your subconscious self, your sleeping self, where you're going into sats, you're impressing your consciousness with a desire or a new reality. I am that, I am married, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am famous, I am. It becomes objective when you impress onto your subjective or your consciousness. The world is my conditioned consciousness objectified. All these are objectified. That which I feel and believe to be true of myself is now projected in space as my world. The world, my mirrored self, ever bears witness of the state of consciousness in which I live. When you're impressing this consciousness, it's going to express itself sooner or later. The world, my mirrored self, ever bears witness of the state of consciousness in which I live. When you live in consciousness, whatever that consciousness is, the world bears witness to that. You give that life. There is no chance or accident responsible for the things that happen to me or the environment in which I find myself, nor is predestined fate the author of my fortunes or misfortunes. Innocence and guilt are mere words with no meaning to the law of consciousness, except as they reflect the state of consciousness itself. Remember, God is no respecter of persons. This is all that is. I am God. If you're a criminal, if you're happily married, if you're happily single, or if you're full of guilt and sin because you're a criminal and you don't want to be a criminal, then you have a desire to not be a criminal and to do things legitimately, what have you. This doesn't make a difference. God is no respecter of persons in any way, shape, or forms. So innocence and guilt are mere words with no meaning of the law of consciousness. Consciousness being all that is, except as they reflect the state of consciousness itself. So the criminal in that state, whichever one I pointed to, is only making a guilt where there is not one. There's no guilt anywhere except for where you make it. Guilt can be a stumbling block. The consciousness of guilt calls forth condemnation. The consciousness of lack produces poverty. The consciousness of guilt calls forth condemnation. Let us get an amen. The consciousness of guilt calls forth condemnation. Oh my gosh. If anybody grew up, had the pleasure of growing up with any kind of religion that taught you about guilt, it is a doozy. And if you've got to overcome it, do everything in your power to overcome that crap. It is a dead end. It's a dead end of thinking, and it is full of doubt and fear, and it's not worth what you're going to find in this newfound freedom, especially with this book we're reading now, Freedom for All. This newfound freedom of learning this law of creating your own reality, of your imagination creating any new reality for yourself. Guilt, doubt, fear only deflate your ability to use a law that you're actually already using. You're actually already good at, because you're using it every day. The consciousness of guilt calls forth condemnation. The consciousness of lack produces poverty. Man everlastingly objectifies the state of consciousness in which he abides, but he has somehow or other become confused in the interpretation of the law of cause and effect. He has forgotten that it is the inner state which is the cause of the outer manifestation. As within, so without. As within, so without. And in his forgetfulness, he believes that an outside God has his own peculiar reason for doing things. Such reasons being beyond the comprehension of mere man, or he believes that people are suffering because of past mistakes, which have been forgotten by the conscious mind, or again that blind chance alone plays the part of God. Woo, what a long sentence. He wound one up and went for it right there. He has forgotten that it is the inner state, not interstate, inner state, which is the cause of the outer manifestation. As within, so without. And in his forgetfulness, he believes that an outside God has his own peculiar reason for doing things. Such reasons being beyond the comprehension of mere man, or he believes that people are suffering because of past mistakes, which have been forgotten by the conscious mind, or again, that blind chance alone plays the part of God. Ooh, boy. Those are doozy of beliefs right there. Thinking that the outside does it to you is not where it's at. You are consciousness. All that exists is consciousness. This is all there is. Anything on the supposed outside of you, that's the dead end. That's not what you want to be looking at. That's not where the answers are. The answers are only within. One day, man will realize that his own I amness is God. He has been seeking throughout the years, one day man will realize that his own I amness is the God he has been seeking throughout the ages, and that his own sense of awareness, his consciousness of being, is the one and only reality. Now there's a heck of a sentence right there. The most difficult thing for man to really grasp is this, that the I amness in himself is God. The I amness in himself is God. The I amness, when you say I am, this is your self-concept. When you say I am, you go in you quiet yourself, you close your eyes, you go in your closet, you close the door, you take your breaths, and you're saying your I am. I am. When you do this, you're recognizing you're in first contact right there with your I amness. And this is probably the easiest thing you can do, is just close your eyes and be calm, and I am. Just repeat. I am. I am. You're just repeating that. This is putting you in first contact right there. The I amness in himself is God. It is his true being or father state, the only state he can be sure of. The Son, his conception of himself, is an illusion. The Son, his conception of himself, this is your self-conception. These are all self-conceptions, is an illusion. He always knows that he is, but that which he is an illusion created by himself, the Father, in an attempt at self-definition. It's all an attempt at self-definition. This discovery reveals that all that I have believed God to be, I am. I am the resurrection and the life. That is a statement of fact concerning my consciousness, for my consciousness resurrects or makes visibly alive that which I am conscious of being. This discovery reveals that all that I have believed God to be, I am. I am the resurrection and the life. If in your self-concept you have the mother within you and the father, the mother being this negative symbol and the father being this, I, my self-concept, and my father, this is your father right there, are one, but my father is greater than I. Well, within you is also the father, and you also have the womb within you. When you have an idea or a desire to be something different, you bring that idea to your womb, where your father and Mary, the mother inside of you, bring this concept to bear. This concept becomes a son, which is that which you desire to be. When you're here living singly, not in a relationship, and you want to be married, you want to be happily in a relationship, you are here single and you claim, I am married, I am in love, I am. You bring that together inside of yourself, where your father and the inner mother put this together as a conception. They give birth to the son, which is the new expression of self. This is your old expression of self. This is your new expression of self. This new self is where your I am now is. And you want to forget about this one over here. This one was only necessary to give birth to this one. You're ever ascending. You're never going to be without desire. It's always going to be. I am the door that all that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. I am the door. Let me repeat the sentence preceding. I am the resurrection and the life, because resurrection and the life, this one dies, this one lives. I am the resurrection and the life is a statement of fact concerning my consciousness. For my consciousness resurrects or makes visibly alive that which I am conscious of being. You want to be happily married? You put that into a conception. You conceive it. It is now given birth. You are now conscious of being. I am the door. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. shows me that my consciousness is the one and only entrance into the world of expression. Your consciousness, where you impress, I am married, I am in love, I'm happily in a relationship, I am. Your consciousness is the door. I am the door. Your consciousness, where you make that impression, is the door. Therefore, that opens up and becomes your next expression, which is your new reality. Bridge of incidents happens. You meet him, you go on a date, you're eating the same food, you're happy, you're traveling, you're moving in together, you're buying a house, you're buying new cars. It's all fun. When you conceive it and then you believe it, which you impress your consciousness, it becomes. You give it birth by believing into your consciousness, that new reality. You feel it real as you fall asleep. Then it expresses. There's no limitation here. I am the door. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. Shows me that my consciousness is the one and only entrance into the world of expression. That by assuming the consciousness of being or possessing the thing which I desire to be or to possess is the only way by which I can become it or possess it. That any attempt to express this desirable state in ways other than by assuming the consciousness of being or possessing it is to be robbed of the joy of expression and possession. I am the beginning and the end. Reveals my consciousness as the cause of the birth and death of all expression. The cause of the birth and the death of all expression. New expression here. You give birth to this, you give death to this. Resurrection and life. I am the cause of the birth and death of all expression. These are all expressions. My Father's house are many mansions. Each one of these is a self-concept. Each one of these is an expression of your Father. I am hath sent me. I am hath sent me. Reveals my consciousness to be the Lord which sends me into the world in the image and likeness of that which I am conscious of being. Happily married. Conscious of being to live in a world composed of all that I am conscious of. I am hath sent me reveals my consciousness to be the Lord, which sends me into the world in the image and likeness of that which I am conscious of being, to live in a world composed of all that I am conscious of. You're conscious of being happily married and in love. When you impress your consciousness of that, you're conscious of that, you give death to this life. You give life to this life. You are the life, you are the resurrection and the life. You kill and you make alive. I kill and I make alive. This is happening within you. I am the Lord, and there is no God beside me. Declares my consciousness to be the one and only Lord. Beside my consciousness, there is no God. There is no God beside consciousness. The only thing beside this is out here in the world. Now, everything is you pushed out, everyone is you pushed out, yes, but this is, we're going to keep this down to this level where we understand how we work and how this law works. Sooner or later, you're going to graduate, though, and you're going to realize all of it is your creation. But let's just stay laser focused so we can go from being single unhappily and you want to be married, from that desire to the desire where you're happy married, happy in a relationship, happily in love. Let's keep it here. Then you could dial it into the more micro after time. But we want to get this law working with conscious awareness of working. You want to be aware that you're using this tool to your benefit. You have the freedom to use and apply any self-concept to yourself. Be still and know that I am God. One of my favorites. Be still and know that I am God means that I should still the mind and know that consciousness is God. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. I am the Lord, that is my name. Now that you have discovered your I am, your consciousness to be God, do not claim anything to be true of yourself that you would not claim to be true of God. For in defining yourself, you are defining God. Are you going to say God is poor? Are you going to say God is lonely? Are you going to say God is sick? Are you going to say God is not free? No, you're not. And when you say that about you, guess what you're saying? You're limiting. That which you are conscious of being is that which you have named God. God and man are one. You and your Father are one. Your unconditioned consciousness, or I am, and that which you are conscious of being are one. Your unconditioned consciousness, or I am, and that which you are conscious of being, here or here, whichever one you are one. The conceiver and the conception are one. The conceiver and the conception are one. If your conception of yourself is less than that which you claim as true of God, you have robbed God, the Father. Because you, the son of conception, bear witness of the Father or conceiver. If your conception of yourself is less than that which you claim as true of God, let's say it's here, and you believe you're in poverty, then you have robbed God, the Father. You have robbed him because you, the son of conception here, or conception, bear witness of the Father or conceiver. There's the Father or conceiver. You bear witness when you claim that you are less than anything. I am poor, I am not healthy, I am not wealthy, I'm not in a marriage that I want to be in. You want to be happily married, you want to have freedom. If you claim opposite of any of that, then you're claiming he is not that. Do not take the magical name of God, I am, in vain, or you will not be held guiltless. You must express all that you claim yourself to be. Name God by consciously defining yourself as your highest ideal. Couldn't be a more powerful sentence to end that chapter with. Name God by consciously defining yourself as your highest ideal. I am married. I am happily in love. I am wealthy. I am strong. I am free. I am. Whatever you are saying after I am with conviction especially, you are naming God to be. The statement, don't use the Lord's name in vain, is exactly what we're talking about. Whatever you follow I am with, because I am is his name. Your I am. So when you say I am, let's be fun here and say I am hungry, you're saying God is hungry. You're saying I am full because I ate that whole pizza. You're saying God is full, satiated, satisfied. You're saying I am hot. It's a very hot day. He is hot. Start using this consciously. Start using the conscious awareness that when you're saying I am, you're saying he is. And he cannot be, just because you say and use his name in vain, he cannot be what you claim he is limited in being, because he is infinitely, he's unlimited. There is no condition. This is unlimited. This is not with boundaries. There's no limitations to consciousness. There's only the limitation which you put into your self-conscious, into your self-concept, into your consciousness. The only limitations are there by you. Whatever you follow the phrase I am with, you put here you impress into your consciousness, and then you take a look at your world, you point your fingers, one pointing at the things you're creating, 3 are pointing back at you as the creator of those things, and then you're upset at it. We gotta get out of that cycle. I and my Father, I one. Go into your meditation. I am. Here, when you say I am, you are at the door with him. The light then will shine into whatever you put into that I am. What a wonderful chapter. Freedom for All, chapter 1. What a great one. The oneness of God. The oneness of God. All right. See you in the next chapter.